Hey guys, Dr. Prometheus here, back with another one of our Blue Jays videos, a wrap up of the off-season live stream that was done on the channel. In its entirety, it was 3.5 hours long. There's some extra stuff in that live stream, especially going through the rosters of the other teams, seeing some new players, how they did last year, and some new guys just called up, going to be at the MLB level, getting their portion. That's not included in this video, that's over on the live stream. But otherwise, let's crack straight into this one. Our playoffs looked kind of like this with Boston and LA going up against the wild card in Atlanta and the Dodgers. The White Sox in Houston and the Cubs and Mets waiting to square off with each other. We had this collapse late in the season, and this is why. It was so hard to win in this division. Syndergaard gets the Cy Young in the AL, and the runner-up is Chris Sale, who they signed in the offseason. For our awards, Schwarber just one away from Gold Glove at catcher. He did get one out in the outfield previous year. Bitchette does get one at third base this year. And then out in center, Springer's a runner-up to Buxton. Silver Slugger goes to Kyle Schwarber. I don't know how, maybe all those RBIs was 77. And Schwarber's playing pretty good for our everyday catcher, so he's going to be keeping that spot. Bitchette, Silver Slugger at third base. He's the third. Doesn't beat out anyone there. And out in the outfield, we don't have anyone here. Kind of lackluster. Biggest thing, though, is how Ian Happ did after Baez leaves Chicago. Happ becomes one of their best players. 40 home runs and 128 RBIs, batted .315 this year. So not so bad signing Baez now with those numbers from Ian Happ. That's a good one for him, rising star in Chicago. So as for the brackets, we see here going in, San Diego sweeps the Cubs in the NLCS. In the ALCS, Boston beats Houston 4-1 after going through the Yanks. So looking at the World Series, the first game, Sale didn't win that one. Syndergaard is the starter against Paddock. They lose that one. And Boston trying to come back. They do get that one. But the Padres end up beating the Red Sox for their second, I believe that is their second World Series in 3 years. I believe they won it a couple years back. But Boston only winning one game here, even though that stellar pitching staff just didn't matter. Pretty close games, though, across the board. As for retired pitchers, or retired players, ours is a pitcher, Hyunjin Ryu. Probably mispronouncing that. Sorry. Down the stretch, our collapse did not help his numbers. He probably would have had more wins. But good stellar career, especially in 2018 for the Dodgers. Then he comes over and does 3 years for Toronto. That is our big retirement. We kind of knew that was going to happen. And we've prepared for it with our good drafting and some depth in our farm system. Also, you never know, we can make a trade to fill that gap in the rotation, as well as you got free agency. Scrolling down, no one else is really surprising. Obviously, Miguel Cabrera does, and you see Pujols, I believe, as well. Dexter Fowler's in there. Cole Hamels, J.A. Happ. So nothing that is actually out of the ordinary. One thing is Scherzer does stay with us. We see here Miguel Cabrera and Albert Pujols into the 2022 Hall of Fame inductees. And then we roll right into the offseason here. So our re-signings: Doolittle, Strop, Soria, and Zimmerman. Pretty much the only one that I was thinking about keeping as the season wore on was Sean Doolittle. Soria struggled at times. Zimmerman was a replacement. And Strop, I'm decent with Strop, but in the sim, not too great. As for the 40-man roster, we will put Diaz on the roster but we will kind of see if Harrington does get picked up. I think he is a guy that needs more work than to play at the MLB level, so I'm not afraid to lose him. But if we do have a lot of prospects at closer. As for arbitration, we give everyone arbitration here, so no big deal in this. We kind of knew we were going to give arbitration to all these players, and a couple of them using arbitration as some team control, like Glasnow, Hernandez. Those guys will likely be dealt in the offseason. We want to do a revamp of our outfield. Obviously, the only one off the table in that sense is Springer. The guy's playing phenomenal. So don't see us in any scenario trading him, but the corner outfield spots, that's something. I don't want to say we want to get younger because one's 29 and one is 30, but I think we could get some more speed out there and some better defense kind of go through. As for re-signings, our biggest one we end up not doing is Clowney, but here's our draft picks with Dwayne Gowdy in the first round, Jermaine Skelton at first, the guy is going to be a monster, Tom Mackey, our third round pick, another good prospect in the infield, Wes Seacrest will be at AA, and Mark Hanna as well, so those guys need a lot of work. But Mackey looks like a sneak prospect. Going into free agency, one of the biggest things that I do not like to do is make offers to those with qualifying offers. And there's actually Trey Turner, who does not have a qualified offer, and that really intrigued me because he can't play that center field spot. I would rather prefer having him than putting Baez out in the outfield. I like Baez's defense. I saw Whit Merrifield in here and play all the outfield spots. Sonny Gray has that qualifying offer. Josh Bell could play right field, but the speed just is not there. And then Ketel Marte, he had a lot of offers going into free agency in the first place. So I didn't think that was a route that we could make with our budget, being that we're going to have a lot of contracts that we're going to have to sign long term. And that's why we need to think about making some trades. Now Glasnow, even though he's in arbitration, we're using his team control and likely deal him. Scherzer probably has 1 or 2 max years on the team. JC Clowney, decent out of the bullpen, but still struggled in some spot starts. So I think we're going to let him go in free agency, and we'll bring up someone from the minors to either be that long relief role in the bullpen, we do make a trade or some other signings, or we end up using him in the rotation at number 5. I don't think Ridge Richardson is ready. We do have some spring training into this, but we'll see some of those guys like Ridge Richardson, and we'll make a determination then. But going into the offseason, we're going to do some vamping of the bullpen. So especially at closer, Peralta didn't get a lot of chances after the fact that Pachi actually blew a lot of saves. Then we traded for Peralta. I think Peralta is probably the one at the level that will be the long-term closer, but I think he needs some work. I put a lot of the guys at single A just in my mind because those are the ones we weren't signing. Skelton looks like he's going to be starting at AAA, and in that case, Diaz kind of becomes a trade piece. That was a fantastic draft pick. Kobayashi is going down, struggled a little bit, but he's going to get some work at AAA. I thought he did pretty well. And Tahito Yamashita, for those guys with deep potential, I did put up some of their, if they made the All-Star game, I put up their potential by 4 or 5, so it's not hugely overpowered, but those guys actually have a chance coming through, and that's what I've been doing for all the rosters across the board. kind of some roster maintenance to get those guys up there to see what they can do quicker. So I've done that with everyone's roster. The guys with the All-Star stars there at the minors, the red and blue. We kind of hit them around the All-Star break between episodes, and I go ahead and put them up by 4 or 5. So one of the biggest things is, besides Diaz, we don't really have any outfield prospects. So that's going to be something we're going to have to worry about going into some of these trades, is we want some outfield help. We look at Chad Green, he looks pretty good. We look at Craig Kimbrell. These are 2 signings here that we at least give them contracts. Later, Chad Green, there's a lot of market with him, so we'll see if we actually end up getting him. But Kimbrell should be pretty easy to get there. At first base, really Trey Mancini kind of can play all those outfield spots, but at 31, I don't think he is someone that can give us multiple years there. Whit Merrifield, I didn't want to actually compete against San Fran in this one. Played for him last year, and then we were looking for guys that can play out in the outfield. Kiki Hernandez is out here, but at 31, is he really going to get any better? Probably not, and I think we have our guys that can platoon pretty well. We're looking for big impact players. So Trey Turner is out here, and we're going to offer Trey Turner a contract. Giving him that does not mean Springer is going to be the one traded by any means, since we could play and put that speed out at center. But the biggest thing with that one is that allows us to move Springer to one of the corner outfield spots with that arm. And then I see McCutchen here, and this lines up perfectly. McCutchen could be a stopgap until we can figure out what to do at the left outside of the left side outfield. I see Marte here, but he has a good offer from Arizona. I see Nemo, but at 30 and 77, pretty good hitting. I mean, if we need a DH, that's the route I would go. Judge having some good offers here. I see Duvall, but Duvall is starting a steep decline there at hitting. And I see Nomar Mazara, and I would give that contract to him at 27. But with the Cubs doing it, I kind of want to see how this franchise now he develops. He'd just be sitting on the bench. So we're not going to give a contract to him. It would make the team better, but at that rate, I'd like to see how he develops. So we do some simming after some contracts, and Aaron Nola goes over to the Nationals. Chad Green decides to sign elsewhere with the Nationals. So we're going to eventually extend a contract to Tommy Hunter. Eventually, I think it's later on in the video, but we go ahead and give him a contract. Another closing pitcher that we'll use in the bullpen. Had a pretty good ERA as well. And that's what I was looking at here. Giles has some contracts. I didn't like Colom's ERA or whip. And we did get at least the guys that we did target other than that, Kimbrell and Doolittle. So at least if we need to promote a pitcher, we'll be fine. And at this point, I see Zach Eflin here. Eflin, 28 years old, 79 overall, B, 11 and 9 last season, around a 4 ERA. And we go ahead and actually give him a contract. And that really shifts down, and we knew we were probably going to deal Darvish at some point. And I didn't think Lorenzen would be a guy that would be in the bullpen. And with this, that also means Glasnow, who was kind of demoted into the bullpen, will likely be traded as well. So we're going to sim some more. Sonny Gray filling that spot over for Nola. Aaron Judge decides to go to San Fran. That is a big one there. Wilson Contreras moved from the north side to the south side for the White Sox. That'll be a good one. And Trey Turner agrees. The $18.8 million a year contract. Tim Anderson over to the Nationals. And JD Martinez signs with the Angels. And this is where I see Tommy Hunter for San Fran. In 38 innings was a 0.47 ERA. They weren't a very good team last year when it came to save opportunities. But that ERA we just cannot ignore. Then we get a trade offer for Lourdes Gurriel here for Ryan Freeman and Mike Moustakas. Moustakas, being 34, is on the last year of his contract, so this would be one that I would eat in this case, but as a reserve, I'm not too worried about that. Feldman looks like a decent pitching prospect that is probably 3 years MLB ETA, and I like this one here. This is a big move here. We're going to move Gurriel anyway, but getting something in a return like Moustakas that can play all the infield positions, we're going to go ahead and do this trade. Ken Giles over to the Astros. Byron Buxton now to the Giants. It's a big money spent in San Fran. Abreu goes to the Reds. Joey Gallo goes to Houston, so a lot of money being spent in Houston as well. Severino stays within the division, moving from the Yankees to the Orioles. So at this point, we see Clowney has a couple of contracts. That contract, some pretty good ones for starting rotation there for him, so we'll see what he can do. And with all that money spent, the Astros deal Lance McCullers to the Rays for Juan Costa and Jameson Hanna. So we go in the Rule 5 draft. I'm not sure why we don't have a draft pick in this in the first round, but we weren't really going to pick anyone in the first place. We didn't get any of our players picked, so no big deal there. In the next trade, San Fran, with all that money, goes ahead and acquires a new pitcher from the White Sox and dealing Gausman. Angels get Brad Hand from the Indians for Dylan Bundy and Jeremiah Jackson over to Cleveland. Pretty good exchange there. I think the winner is Cleveland there. Definitely. As we go into the last day for those with renewable contracts. And we pretty much have made the signings we're going to do. And now we're thinking about some trades. Now we're going to package Glasnow. Diaz is really, this is Luen Diaz, our first base prospect. And Teoscar Hernandez. And we see this one for Hat, and I thought that was completely unrealistic. But that one, with the Cubs and Chase Strumpf and Patrick Wisdom platooning with left field. Like, he can't play left field in real life. He has. And so we'll add that. And then Strumpf being able to play in the infield. Reinforcing what we could have in the infield would be great. Wisdom, pretty good contact. Getting his power up. He's a guy that's doing pretty good. Good fielding. You can play all over the place. So that is a guy that we definitely want him to come in, and if McCutchen needs some breaks, we can plug in Wisdom there. If we need any other ones, we can go ahead and make that one. So Darvish, we kind of knew this was a attempt to get something going, and it did not work in the season. We go ahead and deal him to the Mets for outfield prospect J.R. Ramsey to get our outfield development. Pretty good power against lefties. Needs to work on his right-handed in contact, but at 19 years old, 62 overall B potential, that is a pretty good start. The next one, we go ahead and look at what we have, and I think we have a lot of infielders. Mark Hanna was one guy we didn't use a lot. Alderaan Simmons, he made some good spot starts. I think he's played pretty well when he has made those. Freeman was a trade that we picked up in addition to another player. Looking in the outfield still, we have some issues, and I want to get younger and get some prospects. So Mark Hanna's the next one we trade, and we look around and I see the Twins offering an outfield prospect, Trey Cabbage. And I thought this would be a good return for us, good development pitcher, or a good development outfielder. And I think at 24 years old, it's not really an overpowered A potential 65 overall. It's a guy that'll probably come up much like Wisdom is right now. At about 26, 27, maybe 28 coming up and giving us some platoon time. We have some spring training. Surprise! Because we're going to see Trey Turner come out. Those are the biggest trades that we do, but maybe we got some more moves, but spring training first. Trey Turner's a first at-bat in Game 1. And Turner's going to put that on the... or filed on the right field line. Next one, and that's going to be a walk. So Turner, I think, playing the outfield puts a lot of speed. We'll see that. And a lot of speed on the bases. I like that concept there. But Springer, this is why you don't trade George Springer. A 2-run shot. Just a lot of the players that got hot later on in the year and we couldn't get the pitching or we couldn't get a full roster to get hot and play well. Well, Springer's playing good. Schwarber went 3 for 3 in this one. Scherzer kind of struggled a little bit, but with the speed out in the outfield, those ones in the gap don't matter anymore. It's Trey Turner with the wheels coming from center. And that is why we put him out there. I think he's more versatile and more playable out in center. And we see McCutchen with his first at bat. McCutchen went 0 for 3. And it started with this looking strikeout there. Schwarber went, like I said before, but I've never seen this one, as Garrett Cole takes one off the back there. Just rifled at him. But he will stay in the game. No injuries for him. But Schwarber, continuing from last season, went 3 for 3 with a walk as well. A single, or 2 singles and a double. And Scherzer out here had some issues with some of his control, especially his fastball, some of his slider. Thing is, if Scherzer can keep that changeup just unstoppable. And Scherzer did use that one pretty well. And this was another one with Garcia, one of their young prospects, who's in his second year up the majors, maybe third. Throws a breaking ball to Ohtani and then tries to do it again, and Ohtani this time does not miss. Back-to-back changeups, and you throw that to him, he is going to crush one of them at least. That's a 431-foot homer. Overall, though, we brought a lot of our guys that are down at Double A and Triple A to kind of pitch against a good playoff perennial team. And it did not work well for one guy in particular, and that's Simeon Woods Richardson. Looking at him on his first batter, comes in and hangs a changeup, and that is absolutely demolished. Not only does it have the distance, the height on that was silly. And then Ursula getting a great play single between Bitchette and Baez. And then the next batter coming out here, Brandon Belt, puts one out in right for a ground ball and quickly thrown in by Springer. So it's already bases loaded in the first 3 batters. And then Kyle Hisha, I think it's pronounced Hisha Tagoda, I think it is. I'm probably mispronouncing that. Wow. Hig is a beast. We'll just say that. Did fantastic. However, not all is bad from those pitching prospects. Nate Pearson shocked me. Some pretty good pitching here. Him and Clevenger got an inning here. And Pearson got some ground balls, some hard hit high fly balls out in the outfield, but Not too bad of a showing in one inning against the top of the rotation for the Yankees. Does give up that one to Stanton. Kind of flares away from Springer out and right. But the next batter, it's Urshela, and he swings off a slider. And we get out of that inning with no runs scored. Next one, Fritz Clevenger, sorry. Getting a ground ball there to Biggio. Playing a little bit after the injury last year, putting out the rest of the season. Then that is a slow roller, and Biggio getting more work. So some pretty good from some of our prospects. And then Diaz, well, trying to make a comeback in the top of the 8th. We started subbing in our bench players at this point. Brendan Rodgers comes in and bats next, and that is skied, but playable near the bullpen for the Yanks there in right foul territory. Then we go to Patrick Wisdom, 2-2 count, and that is just blown right by him by Nick Goody. Then we go to Mike Moustakas, who's going against Chapman, and now Chapman, a 98-mile-an-hour fastball, and that is easily up there. Willard, though, here, we wanted that fastball up in the zone, and he put that straight down the middle, and that was crushed by Jason Dominguez. Willard's definitely going to be starting at AAA, so that wasn't something it's going to be a call-up, but top of the 9th, trying to threaten here, full count, and Albert Almora pushes that one out in right. Now Simmons coming in for his first at bat, and Simmons cranks one high. It looks like it's going to be off the large part of the wall, almost a 2-run shot, but Simmons gets an RBI double. So threatening the Yankees here in this bullpen. Big one here for Tyler Freeman coming in, and prospect does some good work. He's one of the guys, if we have some injuries, that Freeman might be one of the first called up. And then we get Robinson Chirinos out here, skying it out in right. It's going to be our backup catcher. Playing at AAA. And one of the guys that if we have someone go down at catcher, he comes in. But here, Kobayashi comes in, and that's a swing and a miss. Diaz trying to get something, and another swing and a miss, strike 3. The Yankees do take this one. I pretty much have an idea what we're going to do for spring training and, well, the roster as a whole. We have couple more trades here. We're going to deal Eric Ullman, Emmett Munoz, and Josh Russ for prospects Braxton Ashcroft and Travis Swaggerty. So this is one of the things that Swaggerty comes in and gives us some more out in the outfield to develop. And also, Braxton Ashcroft was a guy that Pirates wanted to deal to us multiple times, but we finally got a deal ready. Ullman was up in one of our top players in our organization, but I thought he was way behind pitching-wise. We have a lot of depth there. For the top prospects, the Blue Jays have 6 in the top 50. You might think that's a lot from trading, right? Well, that would be not the case. Because the only one we have traded for in this franchise is number 5, Chase Strumpf. Otherwise, Woods Richardson was a trade before the series began in 2019 with the Mets. Ryan Avery was our year 1 3rd-round pick at pitcher. Gabriel Moreno was on the roster beforehand. Orvelis Martinez on the roster beforehand. And Adam Wolfenstein was on the roster, but he was also a draft pick in 2008, the 3rd round. Crazy, though, is the Indians are the other ones that have probably the most. As we see 4 prospects, I think in total they had 6 in the top 50. And then the Mariners have about a half a dozen at least. Maybe 7 or 8 in the top 50. Athletics have about 3 or 4. The Rays have a couple. So a lot in the AL. A lot of good prospects in the AL right now. And it really shows that our competition is either called up, at least within our division, has called up their players to play at the majors already, or they've traded some of their farm system players that were in the top 50 to other teams while we've kind of held on and developed. So only one guy have we traded for. And I think that's pretty good, as we kept our talent in our farm system pretty much. So here is the stats for spring training. Shohei Ohtani, 6 home runs, 13 RBIs, and 340 batting average. Springer batted .270 with 7 home runs and 15 RBIs. Bitchette up there as well. 1 homer but 14 RBIs in that leadoff spot. Vlad had batted .325 in 27 games. Trey Turner, .305. Baez slumping a little bit in 27 games, 86 at bats, but the fact of the matter is our bats are hot right now. McCutchen, .294 and 68 at bats with 5 home runs and 11 RBIs. Like, this team, if we can get the pitching to be on par with the batting right now, this is a team that could go deep in the playoffs, but it's all about if we could put the pieces together. Albert Almora did in 14 at-bats, 571. Peter Kobayashi in 29, 379. Batted pretty well there with 11 hits. I think him being at AAA for 1, maybe 2 more seasons could get him some good stuff. Swaggerty comes up after that trade. Bats, 375 and 16 at-bats. Freeman, 364 and 22 at-bats. So our prospects are doing great. And Chirinos with that one in 15 spot at bats in 16 games. Bats 333. Guerrero 225. Moustakas 308. So we have a lot of good prospects. And then pitching wise, Zach Eflin goes 3-2 with a 5.32 ERA but a 1.50 WHIP. Ohtani, not the greatest, but we kind of know why there. Manoah, 2 wins, 3.55 ERA. Woods Richardson got beat up. That's why he's going to start at AAA. Doolittle with a 1.04. Zach Logue in 12 innings pitched, 2 wins, a 1.46 ERA and a 1.38 WHIP. Scherzer with a 5.8. So, I mean, we had some good pitching. But like I said, we went through a lot of the guys that are getting their first tries at the MLB level, and going through, I saw that the Mets had a bunch of pitchers. And we saw what they wanted from Marcus Stroman. And they did bring in Diaz. We denied that one. We're not going to trade away Diaz, one of our best players. Young players, I would say, at 24 years old. We add in Albert Almora, and, well, they take the bait on that one. So we trade away Doug Batson and Albert Almora for Marcus Stroman, who will fit in at our number 4. That means Eflin is going to go down to the number 5. Logue is going to be in the bullpen. We're not going to send him down. He's going to be our long relief guy. And we need a good, stable, long relief guy. And with him pitching that well, just in 12 innings, I think he could do some good stuff out of the bullpen and maybe start. So here's our lineup going into this year. Trey Turner at 1, Bichette at 2, Baez, Springer, Ohtani with a DH. Otherwise, it'll be Guerrero, Biggio. Moustakas is going to be playing second. So we got a little movement. So Biggio, when Moustakas is playing second, Biggio is going to play in left. So those ones are going to be against the ones that Moustakas is good at hitting, which I think is left-handed hitting. When Moustakas is on the bench, Biggio will play second, and McCutchen will play out in left. So that's how we'll kind of do. We'll kind of platoon Biggio around. I think that should be good. Get him some playing time all around. But here we are in opening day We are finally at home for our first opening day. Max Scherzer is going to be the ace for us against Lance McCullers, who Tampa Bay just traded for this offseason with Houston. We'll see what he can do. Go ahead and leave a like below, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Thank y'all for hanging out and the support, and I'll see you guys later.